Hello my lovelies and good afternoon to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. Right now I am in the mood to make a really quick stir-fry dish, and I thought I should share it with all the lovely people that I know, which is you. So here we are going to make a mushroom and tofu stir-fry today. I have a pan that is really set on high heat. I have some tofu that I was squeezing out the water from, but it's still just really mushy. So clearly we won't be able to fry it or do anything much because I'm afraid it'll stick to the bottom of the pan. Get the pan really hot. We will start with the trinity of Chinese, which is garlic, ginger, and crushed red peppers. So this is the base for anything that I start in my Indo-Chinese recipes. Give it a quick stir. And this was the last clove of garlic that I had in my house, so I'm going to have to use a little bit of garlic powder to just make it a little easier. Gonna give it a quick stir. We will start by adding just a little bit of onions, finely chopped. You can use sliced, whatever you have. These are just leftover from some soup that I made. I'm adding some basil leaves right in the beginning, and then I will also add some in the very end. So I'm infusing the oil with some aromatics. So the ginger, the garlic, the onions, the basil leaves, these are all aromatics, and they can really help to elevate your dish to the next level. In go the mushrooms. These are just good old regular button mushrooms that we get in the blue box, nothing fancy. And I've basically just taken it and cut it into fours. We're going to put the heat on high because we are trying to caramelize these mushrooms. Now I'm gonna go and gonna go ahead and tell you some wok basics. You can either use a cast iron wok like this one that I have, which is really well seasoned, but I have oil in it right now, so I'm not using that. This is a non-stick one, which is fairly new, but I've done some Chinese dishes very successfully. Now, because this is always happening on high heat, sometimes we tend to not know what to do with multiple things that we're using, right? So if you're using mushrooms and you're using cabbage and you're using broccoli or whatever, it's very easy to get lost and not know the sense of direction as to where you're going to take this dish. In that case, what you can do is, these peppers. Leave your mushrooms on the pan and don't touch them and don't move them around. Yes, it's called a stir fry, but you don't want to move them around too much because then they'll not catch the color. I think I may have to add a little oil, and always add oil along the walls of your wok, not in the middle, okay? So what happens is that as the heat travels up, it actually helps you to toss your food and cook it evenly, right? So, and mushrooms just very quickly, they start to caramelize. Especially if you have a good pan, they tend to caramelize really quickly. We don't want to overcook any of these vegetables. I'm not going to add salt until the very end. Hi Brian, how are you today? Nalini, welcome to Queen's Curry Kitchen. Me and my Indo-Chinese obsession, right? There's always something. So when something like this happens and you know that this is caramelized enough, you actually take your stuff and push it towards the back, right? When you do that, all of this stuff which is still touching the walls of your wok continues to char. And you have this available surface here that you can work in. So whether you're making fried rice, whether you're making a dish which has more than one vegetable, you know, just for a quick example, I'll probably use some cabbage just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm going to use some bell peppers. So these are the crunchy things, right? So the mushroom, and pay attention to the textures that are going in your mouth. So yes, I know that everything depends on the season and we really don't know what's going to be available and what's not, but if you just pay attention to balancing out all the textures, anything that you make with a Chinese sauce is going to turn out to be really fabulous. So we have cabbage, and again I've turned the heat back to high. We have cabbage, we have bell peppers, we have carrots, and they add the crunch. This is the softer texture, and then tofu is completely soft, right? So that's how it's going. You can see that the mushrooms continue to get charred, and you can actually push your wok to the back so that your flame is directly under these new vegetables that you just added, okay? If you feel like you want to cook a little bit more on this side, you can always pull it here. So I always prefer a wok with a sturdy handle and a flat base. It's just easier to work with it on the stove top. Okay, I'm also going to need some water for this dish, which I'm going to go and fill up in here. So the other things that are going to go into this dish are some soy sauce, a little bit of tomato ketchup. Yeah, believe it or not, instead of adding sugar and then adding like 50 other things, I prefer to just use a dash of ketchup. I'm also going to use cornstarch to make a slurry to thicken the sauce. I will go ahead and add a star anise for flavor. So there's a lot of aromatics that are going on in this sauce right now, as you can see, right? And always for cornstarch, make sure you're using cold water, not hot water, because it's just going to make it gloppy and it's going to make it a big lump. Now, if you like heat, you can use chili garlic sauce. This is store-bought. And I'm just going to use very little of it because I really don't like too much heat in my food. Now you can see these vegetables are charred as well. When that happens, you scoop under and bring everything forward. So now you can see that the mushrooms are really beautifully charred. Everything is well cooked. The next step is to, you see all this brown stuff? I'll just turn down the heat a little bit so I can talk. All this brown stuff is actually the flavor of all of the garlic and the ginger. So you really want to capture that. And for that, you're going to deglaze the pan. You can either do that by adding water. I like to use soy sauce because it gives it that saltiness. It gives it that light brown color. And you can use a dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, low sodium, tamari, liquid aminos, whatever you use, you can use that. You see, so immediately your vegetables have like this nice brown color. And at the same time, you cleaned out your pan, so all the goodness of the caramelization has gone into your vegetables. Now into this, I'm going to add some sesame oil, which is my favorite for adding flavor to my Chinese food. I always do that. I am going to go ahead and add a couple of squirts of tomato ketchup. If you don't have ketchup, you can also use Thai sweet chili sauce. That's also a good one. You can do that. And because this is Indian Chinese, I will add some coriander powder. I will add some paprika just for color. This is not hot. And a little bit of salt. Now you added soy sauce, so just be careful of the salt. I'm adding the Himalayan pink salt. You can add whatever salt you like. Okay. And you can see that again, it's, there's a lot of stuff happening at the bottom of this pan. So the mushrooms have created a good texture. I don't want to overcook the bell peppers. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add this slurry. So spread this out, add the slurry, give it a quick stir. If you have tomato juice, you can also add tomato juice. Then you'll have to just add a little bit of sugar to balance out the tartness of it. But it tastes really good with tomato juice as well. If you like it hot, you can add a little more, a little less of the crushed red peppers. I'm going to go back and add a little more garlic powder. Because remember, I only had very limited supply of garlic at home today. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And always remember, when you're doing Indian style Chinese, save a little bit of the raw garlic for the end. And just before you remove it from the flame, add that to add that final flavor. Lots of cilantro, of course. And then I am going to add a little more basil. So I have a whole bunch of basil here. There you go. All of that goes in. And this is pretty much done. Now I'm going to go ahead and add all my tofu. So this is all the tofu that I had reserved. And see how it's firm tofu, but it still has a lot of jiggle to it. And I tried to press it down and release all the moisture, but it wasn't doing that. So instead of frying it and having it stick to the pan, or having it soak up oil and splatter my whole face, I just decided to add it all the way in the very end and just fold it in gently, and it's going to soak up whatever sauce you've created, right? Now this can be a great accompaniment to fried rice. It can be a great accompaniment to just white rice, hakka noodles, whatever you have going on. And if you want to serve a large number of people, you can also add more liquid to this and make it into a soup. Okay, so this is tofu with mushrooms, and it's really done. You can add some sesame seeds, toasted sesame seeds to the top. You can add more cilantro if you want. I feel like it needs a little more water because I like my Chinese dishes with a little extra sauce, because my family likes to eat it with rice and they like everything a little bit more saucy, not sassy, but saucy. I'm so goofy sometimes, right? Thank you, Nalini. Yes, I love this too, and I don't like it super spicy, but so my mom, she likes it a little on the sweeter side, so for her I would usually add a little maple syrup or sugar. I used to add honey a long time ago, but then my Ayurvedic practitioner said that you should not cook honey on a high flame because it loses its natural goodness. So I've stopped using honey in my cooked food. Okay, so I'm just going to simmer it for one quick second. I will check the salt. Perfect. It's got the perfect sweetness from the ketchup. It's got the perfect tartness, but you don't taste the tomato at all. I think it needs a little more garlic, right? Hey, is there such a thing as too much garlic? Hell no. And if you want to take this a notch higher, you can also get, the black bean sauce that you get in Asian supermarkets. It comes in a glass jar with a red lid. You can certainly use that. Oh, look at that. This is like a veggie lover's dream right there. Okay, so that's that. It's done, and I will finally garnish it with a little more sesame oil. So sesame oil gives it that nice depth of flavor that you would get from an expensive Chinese restaurant's menu, right? That's what it gives it. And I'm just going to rip up some basil leaves and throw them in there. That's pretty much it. I did not use any white pepper or black pepper because I don't like any heat. But if you do, hey, you know what? Go right ahead and do that. I am going to sign off now. But if you want to take a class with me and you want to learn how to make some simple Indian style Chinese dishes at home, you can always log on to, or you can always check out www.queenscurrykitchen.com. All the spices are available there. Online classes are there. If you want to get a meal delivery, all the information is on my website, queenscurrykitchen.com. Currently, we are serving Midtown Manhattan. In Queens, we are serving Ridgewood, Rego Park, Briarwood, Forest Hills, Elmhurst, and Jamaica. And if you'd like to get a meal delivery, all you have to do is just send me a personal message and I will respond to that. So I hope you are all having fun on this long weekend. I'm going to get this off the stove, and when I come back, which is going to be like in the next 5 minutes, I will make a fried rice right here in this pan with some leftover rice that I had sitting in my fridge and all the leftover vegetables. So don't go anywhere. Come back in a little bit. When you see me go live and you see the notification, just get on there. All right, I will see you soon in the next one. Take good care. Bye bye. Stay blissful and flavorful, and don't forget to join me again real soon so that I can show you how I do the fried rice.